Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Throughout much of the 1980s and 90s, Sinbad was pretty much everywhere. For a time it seemed like you could not turn on the television or see a movie without seeing the comedian. Suffice to say, he has his hands in many pots. While he was surely busy with all of the comedy specials he headlined in the final decade of the old millennium, he found time to branch out into other areas of entertainment. He played Coach Oaks on A Different World, had a sitcom with his name on it, and appeared in numerous movies throughout the 1990s such as House Guest, Jingle All the Way, and Coneheads. And then, well, he was not gone entirely, but the Sinbad of old was nowhere to be seen. Sinbad continued to work sporadically, appearing in several films, comedy specials, and TV shows. He kept himself busy through the early 2000s, but most of his work was done behind a microphone instead of in front of camera. What happened to the overly energetic comic that made millions laugh through the later part of the 20th century? For many of his fans, he seemed to drop off the face of the earth. Sinbad was aware of his waning status and even poked fun at himself via his 2010 special title, Where You Been? Careers have their peaks and valleys, but Sinbad was all peak for a long time. So how did he go from comedy goldmine to someone who's left people wondering what happened to Sinbad? Read on. Before he was known as Sinbad, David Atkins worked several jobs, including serving a stint in the United States Air Force. While serving, Atkins competed in the Air Force talent contest in 1981, which he lost. As he told Pasadena Weekly, he also repeatedly went AWOL to pursue other interests, hoping to be kicked out, and finally he was discharged from parking my car in the wrong position. Atkins' interest in stand-up comedy developed from his experiences in and out of the USAF. He decided the best way to make a name for himself was to literally come up with a new name. As he shared with Ebony, he chose Sinbad out of admiration for the character in Sinbad the Sailor, and he's been called that ever since. His first big break came by way of talent competition series Star Search, which saw him go up against Dennis Miller and John Kaiser, the latter of whom ultimately won. Despite coming in second place, Sinbad's career was moving along, and before long he scored the role of Brian Lightfoot on the Red Fox show. Unfortunately, the show suffered from poor ratings and a competitive time slot, so it was cancelled after a few months with only 13 episodes. Still, it helped Sinbad get his foot in the professional comedy door. He had a walk-on appearance on the Cosby Show in 1987, and that gig springboarded him into a recurring role on the spin-off series A Different World. Following his earlier successes, Sinbad continued working in television, with his breakout role happening on A Different World. The show offered him more opportunities to get in front of an audience than his previous work, and his career benefited greatly. He played Coach Walters Oak from 1988 to 1991, appearing in 74 episodes. He left the series to pursue other projects, explaining to Vanity Fair that he was interested in working in films and developing his own TV series. His work on A Different World proved he has a hot commodity, so Fox offered him his own eponymous series, which premiered in 1993. The Sinbad show was not exactly based on the comedian life, but it did mirror certain aspects of it. On the show, Sinbad played David Brian, a bachelor who takes in 2 foster children. At the same time, Sinbad had recently divorced but got joint custody of his 2 children per jet. Soon after the show premiered, Sinbad spoke about how his private life and work on the series helped him transition into living and working as a single parent. The Sinbad show was not a huge success, and Fox ended up cancelling it after only 1 season. That said, Sinbad was nominated for Favorite Television Actor at the 1995 Kids' Choice Awards. The series cancellation did not put the comedian down, because 1990 was the year he scored his first HBO comedy special, Sinbad Brain Damage, and that's where he truly made his mark on the entertainment industry. In the 1990s, one of the best ways for the comedian to build a large audience was to land a gig on HBO. That happened for Sinbad in 1991 when he released his first comedy special, Sinbad Brain Damage, on the channel. It was reported in front of the Pack House at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. The special proved to be incredibly popular, with comedy that still holds up decades later, making Sinbad a superstar. This was when Sinbad's career really took off, because while he had success in television, his HBO special made him a household name. Sinbad's work for HBO personified the phrase "hit the ground running," because he did not stop with one special. While working in every facet of the entertainment industry, industry he could find work in, he continued making new HBO comedy specials, each of which furthered his fame and prominence. In 1993, he packed the house at New York City's Paramount Theater at Madison Square Garden, where he recorded his second special, Sinbad, Afros and Bell Bottoms. That special nabbed him an AACP Image Award for Outstanding Variety Special. The following year, he released Sinbad, Son of the Preacher Man, and he just kept going. Special after special saw him receive fame and fortune. Most importantly, he was nominated for numerous awards and his fame only grew. Everyone wants fame and fortune, but getting those things does not always work out well. In Sinbad's case, he had difficulty managing his bank account and paying his taxes. It's not entirely clear when his struggles related to money began, but his work throughout the early 2000s began far less frequent than during the prior decade. His financial issues were likely exacerbated due to infrequent work, and he became severely indebted to numerous agencies, including the state of California and the federal government. At one point, as Time noted, he was on the state of California's top 10 list of debtors. The Los Angeles Times reported in 2009 that Sinbad owed the state some $2.5 million in income tax lien filed in 2001. Also in 2009, the Detroit News reported that Sinbad owed the Internal Revenue Service $8.15 million, being on the hook for that much money, especially when the IRS is involved, isn't it? Isn't necessarily something you can just walk away from. An assistant U.S. attorney pursued legal action against Sinbad by doing after his home the estate was in his brother's name. All of the mortgage payments and property taxes paid were made from Sinbad's account, and the IRS came for the money. According to the IRS, Sinbad filed his tax returns through 2006 but failed to pay what he owed at the end of each year, resulting in a sizable debt, being $8.15 million in the hole. Because he owed millions in back taxes to both the state of California and the federal government, Sinbad's money trouble caused him no end of problems, and those problems would carry on for years. As TMZ recounted, the Jingle All the Way star filed for bankruptcy in December 2009. According to the Detroit News, he went for Chapter 7, claiming between $10 million and $50 million in liabilities and less than $50,000 in assets. Evidently, he did not file correctly, and his case ended up not going anywhere due to the paperwork error. A few years later, he would try the bankruptcy thing again. As Variety noted, Sinbad put his Hidden Hills mansion on the market in early 2010, and the outlet found the timing rather curious. We can't think of a single other reason he would choose to sell in the midst of filing for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, they wrote. The massive abode was up to $3 million. Pocket change. Back in the 1970s, Sinbad was more interested in playing professional basketball than pursuing a career in comedy. He played for the University of Denver, but as the Daily Press noted, knee problems forced him out of basketball. Knee injuries have a way of coming back around and are causing problems later in life, and that's precisely what happened to Sinbad. In 2010, those issues with his knees finally caught up with Sinbad. It was not just one either. He required 2 knee replacement surgeries, the first of which he talked about in a comedy special aptly titled Where You Been, as he put it on 105.3's Tom Joyner morning show. He's now biopic as hell. He ran into another problem in 2015 when he required spinal fusion surgery per UPI. The comedian has not gone into detail regarding how he injured his back, but he kept his fans updated on Twitter through his recovery. If there are 2 things that come with medical problems, it's time and money. The cost of medical procedures, even you are insured, can be astronomical. For example, a Blue Cross Blue Shield study found that the average cost for a knee replacement hovers around $30,000. Add to that the recovery time and inability to work, and a public figure can wind up losing opportunities in an industry that loathes a vacuum. Sinbad managed to make several appearances between 2010 and 2015, but his celebrity profile was nowhere where it had been in previous years. In 2013, Sinbad returned to the courts asking for bankruptcy assistance once more. According to TMZ, which broke the story, most of the money he owed at this time was to the IRS for income received and not paid in income taxes between 2009 and 2012. He also owed around $4 million to various banks and $2.3 million to California's franchise tax board. The filing indicated that he owed almost $11 million but had only $1,031,000 to his name. And then reports surfaced that he supposedly filed for Chapter 13 instead of Chapter 7. However, according to the American Bankruptcy Institute, this supposed filing apparently did not add up. There is no way that Sinbad could qualify for Chapter 13 given the type of debt he owes, they wrote, adding that his unsecured debt exceed the jurisdictional limits for Chapter Chapter 13. Naveda, based from Freedom Law fame, also addressed the confusion regarding what exactly was filed. Blogs, including this one, and news outlets picked up on the story and discussed Sinbad's woes and his opportunities in bankruptcy. The problem was Sinbad did not file Chapter 13. He was not eligible. Whatever he filed, it sure seemed to work out. As far as we can tell, this one was not dismissed like the one from 2009. There are plenty of examples of celebrities who spend their money and their creditors' money on things nobody could want or need. Heck, Nicholson Cage once dropped $2,076,000 on a dinosaur skull. Needless to say, fans are not often surprised to learn that a celeb has blown a lot of money on something crazy. However, if you look through the headlines, you are not going to find a story like that about Sinbad. The comedian has spoken about his money problems since they have become public knowledge, and according to him, he does not spend lavishly. In various interviews, he was quick to dispel any rumors of the kind. Most of his debts to financial institutions revolve around businesses he kept afloat during different financial times. This included payroll and equipment cost he often had to pay out of pocket. Sinbad told HuffPost, "I spent money and I kept thinking I get one more movie and I will wipe these bills out, but that movie never came. That black pride, I said, man, I'm going to hang in there. I'm going to pay these bills. So you owe $1 million. I can pay that. Okay, fines, fees. Now you owe $2.5 million, but I did not do nothing. Now you owe $4 million." In the same interview, he pointed out that he's never spent his money lavishly, saying, "Have you ever seen me in a Bentley? Have you ever seen Sinbad with a big chain?" Being saddled with a mountain of debt is not something that's easy to walk away from, but Sinbad managed to do it. Granted, it took several years, multiple court filings, and a lot of work. Still, the comedian was able to pull himself out of his financial hole in 2013. News of his achievement was broken by TMZ when a reporter for the website ran into Sinbad at Lax. It was then that the comedian explained that his money problems were finally at an end. According to Sinbad, he's past financial. I'm on the murder. Don't worry, he has not taken up a new homicidal hobby, but he has spent some time dismissing people online, which he elaborated on by saying, "I killed some folks on Facebook, so I'm working with that. Anger issues." Essentially, the bottom line from Sinbad's interaction with TMZ in the late July 2013 is that he's finally out of debt and does not want to talk about his money problems ever again. The details of how he managed to overcome nearly $11 million in tax and personal debt are not clear. We assume filing for bankruptcy played a big role, but hey, whatever he did clearly worked. At the time of writing, Celebrity Net Worth lists his net worth at $4 million. If you were aware of Sinbad's existence and watched him in movies and on television throughout the 1990s, odds are you recall one of his most famous roles, or think you do. Sinbad never starred in the movie Shazam, despite tons of people believing he did, and his own children have appeared on various programs such as NBCLX to dispel the myth. How did this happen? Enter the Mandela effect, a phenomena where a false memory is held by a large group of people. Said phenomena can describe something simple like believing the Monopoly man wears a monocle. He does not. In Sinbad's case, it's believed that he starred in the movie that does not exist. Whatever the reason for this widespread belief, as his kids told NBCLX, the confusion is likely related to Shaquille O'Neal, Jenny movie, Kazam. Sinbad managed to capitalize on the world's collective misremembering of him via a college humor original piece he wrote and starred in called "We Found Sinbad Shazam Jenny Movie." As Entertainment Weekly put it, college humor and Sinbad won April Fool's Day. The site claimed a member of the team found this VHS in a box behind a shut-down blockbuster. The statement continued, "It's quite damaged and most of it has been recorded over. But what's there is classic cinema and movie magic. We are excited to share it with audiences at large." The whole thing turned out to be a joke at the world's expense via a short trailer. After years of money problem and several medical issues, Sinbad's career was finally on the rise once more. However, in November 2020, Sinbad had a stroke. The news of his condition was broken by his family via a release in the AP. "It is out of sincere love that we share Sinbad, our beloved husband and father, is recovering from a stroke." In the statement, it is not clear when he had the stroke or how severe it was, but the Adkins family did say he was recovering. The statement was brief and gave little detail while highlighting Sinbad's contribution to his craft. Sinbad is a light source of love and joy for many generations, the statement continued, while he is beginning his road to recovery. We are faithful and optimistic optimistic that he will bring laughter into our hearts soon. The family closed out the statement asking for privacy during Sinbad's recovery. Since the stroke, very little information has been revealed about how he's doing or when he might be expected to return to work, or if that's even possible. The only news to date came in December when Sinbad's children Royce and Paige shared a video on their father's Instagram page. They said that he was getting better each day and shared Sinbad's words from earlier in the pandemic. We need each other to get through this journey. I can't wait to see you all again. As always, stay funky, stay prayed up. Sinbad has been out of action since he had a stroke in November 2020, but that does not mean his friends and his fans have forgotten about him. He may not have been able to perform, but Sinbad's many friends in the industry came out in full force to support him in the best way they know how. They put on a comedy special in his honor in June of 2021. One for Sinbad, the Badass comedy show took place at the Nashville Comedy Festival. According to the now playing Nashville, it was a benefit event featuring on stage as Sinbad's friends and fans come together to support his road to recovery. That roster include DL Hule, Faison, Love, Armis J, Bruce, and more. Sinbad's children attended the show and they shared some of their father's words while also giving an update on his recovery. In a statement on his Instagram page, his children wrote, "We are overwhelmed by the outpouring of love from his comedy community and everyone who made this event possible. Our family is so grateful. Laughter may not cure all, but it sure can be a good medicine." Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.